We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. This is a special edition, Tuesday afternoon. Big 12 football schedule is being released right now. So if you got information, put it into the chat. I see that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are going to be playing November 4th, and it's going to be the last Bedlam game scheduled for a while at least. That series is now over. This was reported by Brett McMurphy at Action Network. Jeff Olson is in the house. Mr. Badger. Gerard Jones is in the house. Nice to see you. First of all, before we get going, we're being sponsored on today's show. Sponsored today by Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. Now, as you know, me and the wife, we were able to get some samples. We're trying the Blue Bali Moon first. It's unbelievable. It's smooth. We're going to the dark roast, the medium roast. It's absolutely fantastic. Welcome to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters, your coffee is roasted in a healthy, safe, environmentally safe electric heating element coffee roaster. We never use propane nor natural gas to roast your coffee. Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters offer organic Bali Blue Moon, organic Ethiopian, organic Colombian. It also offers the best non-organic coffees. This stuff, from craft to cup, hand-picked coffee beans, is tremendous. Give it a try. There's a link in the description box below the video. Go to the website, order your coffee. It's the best coffee me and the wife have ever had. And if you want to support the show here at Peek Around the Corner, put in the comment section in the website of Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters, put it in the comment section, PATC or Peek Around the Corner. We thank you so very much. Give this great sponsor of our show, Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters, give them a try. It is very special coffee. Now, today, we decided we got a nugget of information here at Peek Around the Corner. A small nugget of information. We want to start off this show dealing with this information. It's small. It might not be worth anything 2 weeks from now, or it might be worth something. There's a couple reasons why we're going to disclose it right now. It's been just less than 24 hours since the Monday meeting for the Pac-12 quarterly meeting that they had yesterday. Not a whole lot of information has spilled out of it, but we got a hold of one nugget. And there's a couple reasons why we can talk about this today, very quickly, here on a Tuesday afternoon. First of all, the person who gave us this information, the money perch. If you're new to our channel, if you're new to us getting intel on the USC story and prior stories before that, we get intel from the money perch, mainly from the money perch. The big money, the big movers in college sports. They're not infallible. They don't see everything. They're not perfect, but they're incredibly accurate because for good or for bad, we have learned, especially over the last 5 years, money talks, money makes people walk, money makes everything kind of go. So the big money movers are sometimes the first to know. And they were on the USC stuff. They were on the Notre Dame going to the Big Ten for the men's hockey conference. We were the first ones that give you that information. On and on and on. So, this little nugget of information came from the money perch, but it came from an impeccable source in the money perch. Someone that has given us information before, it has always been accurate. This person was not in the room in Monday's meeting, but he's already been told stuff, and he delivered it to us, and we're going with it, because he's an impeccable source. So take it as you will. Another reason why we're going with this today, and the information is, just to be clear, there's at least one school, could be more, but there's at least one school that showed, let me make sure I say this correctly. There's one school in Monday's meeting yesterday that showed its displeasure. Not the first time in the last few weeks. And did not go into them claiming a vote of no confidence in the Pac-12 leadership. However, the displeasure was directed at the commissioner and at least one member of the executive committee. And I'm guessing that's the executive committee of the Pac-12. That last part we're not quite sure of. We were given this information at about 11:05 Central Time this morning. So we'll keep digging into it. Now I'm going to give you the school, and I'm going to give you why this is sort of interesting from our perspective. And this may help as more information comes out about this meeting as the weeks go on here, as we head towards some sort of Pac-12 media deal, probably here in the next 4 to 6 weeks, maybe this little nugget will give some layer to the story. Or it might be a huge part of the story. We don't know. But Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona, yesterday showed its displeasure. Was not happy. Before I continue on with this, if you would have said, Greg, rank the 10 Pac-12 schools, the 10 Pac-12 schools that are in that meeting. Now, UCLA and USC were in that meeting, but they left the room when they talked about the negotiations, the update on the media negotiations and the future of the Pac-12. They upped and left the room. They were an early part of the meeting. Representation of UCLA and USC were in the meeting. They left when Pac-12 decided to give an update on the current media negotiations. If I were to rank the 10 schools in the Pac-12, one being the school that would definitely, most likely, show its displeasure at what the Pac-12 is doing right now in media negotiations, number 1 through 10, 10 being the least likely to show its displeasure, I would have ranked Arizona State 8, 9, or 10. So for me, this nugget, because of my bias, we all have biasness when we get information, it did not ring true to me. But this came from an impeccable source, and a source that has told us through the years all the ins and outs of Arizona State hockey. Always saying on everything in regards to their new arena, giving us information in regards to Arizona State is not going to be a full member of the Big Ten Hockey Conference. Information that he was able to give us prior during the pandemic when Arizona State had a schedule, 28-game conference schedule with Big Ten schools, but Arizona State would always have to go on the road. A lot of you guys are not aware of this. I don't want to put you in the deep weeds, but this impeccable source has given us so much small nugget information that has been correct. This source sits on the Arizona State money tree and just happens to be somebody who, when they speak, we listen. So, Arizona State showing its displeasure. Again, Arizona State. I'm going to be very general in how I put this forward. I'm not even going to give a name to you. You can come up with a couple names of who could have been doing this, representing Arizona State. I'm not going to say the name. But someone in the leadership at Arizona State showed their displeasure. Maybe there was more than one school that did this. Maybe more than one person in a leadership position representing a Pac-12 school did this yesterday. But we do know of one school, and that's Arizona State. Arizona State, as we've discussed here at Peek Around the Corner, has always been one of the most pro-Pac-12 schools in the since their current leadership started leading the university. So we don't know. We don't know quite how to take this. Remember, we just received the information a little bit after 11 o'clock Central Time today. What does that mean? We can only speculate at this point. Does that mean Arizona feels confident that they have an option? That they may have a Big 12 option? Or is it, now we're just speculating. We do not know. If we did know the motivations behind showing this displeasure, we would let you know, but we do not know. But another speculation is potentially maybe because of the change in the Pac-12 leadership, maybe the current Arizona State leadership always was very pro Larry Scott. Maybe they're not taking kindly to George Kliakoff leadership. Again, just speculation. We do not know the motivation. It could be just plain and simple. Arizona State is upset, along with maybe a lot of other schools, that it's come down to this, where it doesn't look like they're going to get a whole lot more than the Big 12 schools in money payout. It doesn't look like they're going to get very good exposure. Maybe this Amazon offer, maybe it does include all of the Pac-12 content, even the Tier 1, sitting behind a sports-specific app on Amazon Prime. Again, we don't know, and we don't think anyone else knows outside of that room. And the people inside that room might not even know. The people in that meeting on Monday, they might not even know what's going to happen. So, Arizona State, it was the school, the one school we know that showed its displeasure. Now, before anyone asks, there was a report from the Monty Show. We don't know who the Monty Show is. You guys have showed us who he is. We do not know them. I think I've watched a minute of their show. Someone sent me a YouTube video like a month ago. Somebody in the chat room. They had a report out there, something about $25 million per school is the offer for 7 years. That's the offer from Amazon, ESPN, and maybe somebody else. Maybe CBS was part of that offer. But $25 million per school per year. You guys let me know in the chat. I checked out the tweet. The Monty Show said something about Arizona State, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington not ratifying it. We can't confirm that. We're not going to say they're wrong. This part of Arizona State showing displeasure, that's all that we got. We don't have all that other stuff. But we're not saying it's not true. We're just only going to give you what we have. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. We just have a small nugget. But we have great confidence that Arizona State showed their displeasure on Monday. Now, in the long run or in the short run, it might not mean a thing. It might not mean anything. Or maybe it's entirely connected to the information that the Monty Show and other people might be giving out. But we're going to give you this nugget because it might help fill in the gaps, the layer of this story when you hear more information coming out of this Monday meeting. But we do know that, and I'm just going to go through it once again. Arizona State showed its displeasure. It's not the first time. They've done it before in the last few weeks. I don't know if this was at a meeting, another meeting, or directly Arizona State to Pac-12 leadership or Kliakoff. But it says this is not the first time within the last few weeks. And this one gets kind of murky. Arizona State did not say something to the effect of, we have no confidence in the Pac-12 leadership. But their comment, their displeasure, was directed at the commissioner and at least one member of the executive committee. That is what we have. So, I'm going to get to your comments, your phone calls, 763-260-1333. The Big 12 has just released their football schedule for 2023. Yes, Oklahoma and Texas are part of the Big 12 in 2023. We'll see what happens for 2024. Let's get to your comments. Let me know any information on the Big 12 schedule. It sounds like Oklahoma is going to be playing at Utah and possibly at Cincinnati. Oklahoma Sooners at Provo, at BYU, and at Cincinnati. That's what it sounds like. Okay, let's get to your comments. Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to donate to the channel, just hit that $. Gerald Jones says, let's go, let's go. Jeff Olson, let's go. Ted, 2 Greg lives in less than 24 hours equals a good 24 hours. Thank you, Ted. Thank you so very much. Jonathan Weaver, who do you like more, my Hawkeyes or Wisconsin? Oh, jeez. Who do I like more as who's going to do better in 2023? Or who do I like more as who do I like more? Because I don't like either Hawkeyes or Wisconsin, obviously. I'm a Gopher. Who do I like going better in the 2023 season? Probably the Badgers, because I got to see the Hawkeyes switch out their offensive coordinator. Iowa Hawkeyes have to switch out their offensive coordinator. And once they do that, then Iowa can crack that ceiling that they have right now. But that offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, is holding that program back big time. Dale Donuts say, I would say more than one school. Very well could be. Very well could be. That's the information that we have. Tough Tony, I wish I was on the money perch. I'm on the nosebleed section. Go Gophers. Aren't we all, Tony? Aren't we all? Rebecca, Arizona State is actively trying to talk 3 others into joining a new conference, Big 12. Spoke to a friend last night at Washington, and the report about the 4 schools is pretty true. Very interesting. Thank you for that info, Rebecca. Again, we at Peek Around the Corner, we know nothing of this Arizona State, Arizona, Washington, Oregon possibility of those 4 schools. It makes some logical sense to it. It makes some logical sense if things were going to implode here in the Big 12, that Oregon and Washington would be on the first train out. It makes logical sense, of course, that Arizona would want to join the Big 12. The Arizona State thing is kind of sketchy to me. But again, we have no intel, none here at Peek Around the Corner, that says Oregon and Washington has said a word to the Big 12. So we don't have any information on that, no intel on that. We cannot confirm or deny the Monty Show's information. All we can do is just throw our nugget of intel in there that might not be worth much, but might be worth a lot here. Arizona State did show their displeasure. Now, the question is, if Arizona State showed their displeasure, is that a tipping point? Is that the canary in the coal mine, or was Arizona State the only school that really showed its displeasure directly at the commissioner and at least one member of somebody in the executive committee? That was the words that was used telling us about it. Okay, James Foster. Awesome. About time ASU leadership step up and take the lead in this group of sheep following their new commission into oblivion. Changes need to be made. Rebecca, every single president but 2 that hired Larry Scott are gone. New leadership has been a blessing to the conference. Jay Perlmutter, both UA and ASU schools fall under the purview of the Arizona Board of Regents, the governing body of Arizona public university system, along with Northern Arizona. If only one leaves, can we say... I wasn't ready for that. If only one leaves, can we say ceremony? I do not know the situation of those two schools, if they can separate. If not, I don't know. We're going to have to look into it now. We're going to have to look into it. My perception of Arizona State is that they were the most pro-Pac-12 school in the conference. Them and Oregon State and Washington State. You can see why an Oregon State, Washington State doesn't want any more changes to the Pac-12. They want a calm sea. They don't want any big waves. They want to get this media deal done. We would have had Arizona State pretty much in that same bucket. But this came from an impeccable source. So we're going with it here at Peek Around the Corner. Arizona State showed their displeasure. And it was directed at the commissioner and someone in the executive, at least one person in the executive committee. Tony, in the new Big Ten TV contract, there is a carve out for Notre Dame. Is there money in the TV deal for other P5 schools if they were added? There is specific information in the Big Ten contract, a clause that says if Notre Dame would come to the conference, this is how much Notre Dame would make in that media money, and the rest of the Big Ten schools would make the same. There's no other language about any other school in that Big Ten conference, Big Ten contract. There's no other language. So Big Ten's not expanding right now, unless Notre Dame jumps in. That's just they're not expanding. This was the latest word we were told all the way back to October 12th. It's not happening at this time. Stephen Snook, been stated many times by many people, most PAC members who understand economics won't sign a long-term GOR. And that very well may be true. Now, some schools will no doubt say, yes, we'll sign it. We'll sign it. Some schools are they're gonna have to be pushed and prodded to sign that GOR. Oregon and Washington, we know those two for sure. The problem is if you don't sign a GOR, that media offer, the money probably drops significantly. And I think maybe that's what they're dealing with right now. So there may be some potential media companies, potential media partners of the Pac-12 says, we're not going to do any deal with you if schools don't sign a grant of rights. I do happen to believe, again, just my speculation, that let's say at ESPN, I don't think ESPN, when this deal gets made, I would be shocked if ESPN has any more of Pac-12 content than just a slice of it, a sliver of it. I think ESPN's going to get some of it, but just a slice. And because it's just a slice, would ESPN demand everybody to sign a grant of rights? Traditionally, they would. They would want that. But maybe they would let it go for this just a slice of content of the Pac-12, if we're correct on it. If we're correct on that. Jeremy LaHaye, Arizona schools depend on Southern California for recruiting. I have a hard time seeing them leaving the Pac without SDSU. True. And of course, Arizona and Arizona State see themselves as Pac-12 universities, institutions. We don't talk about that enough, but it's going to take a whole lot for one of those schools or both of those schools to leave in tandem, to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12. That's just the honest assessment. It would take a lot, but are we getting near that level of where, geez, this is a lot? You know, these presidents, who knows what these Pac-12 presidents were told yesterday? Maybe they were told that they're going to owe more than $50 million back in total. Maybe there's other audits going on. Maybe the Pac-12 is getting paid too much by other distributors of their content. Or maybe the offer that's coming in is just so low that Arizona State and Arizona are saying, holy cow, maybe we do have to move. We don't know. But we know one school showed their displeasure. A school that we would not have predicted that they would. I would not have said Arizona State. Charles M. Sauces say, well, take it. Take it for however you want it, Charles. Take it however you want it. Mid-Florida Academy, wild choice between Iowa and Wisconsin. Broccoli or squash. I like squash a lot better than broccoli, but I don't think either one of them are squash. Monovision, no future Big Ten expansion without Notre Dame. Jeremy LaHaye, it's amazing how tight-lipped the PAC has been through the negotiation process. Quite impressive. Yes, in a sense, that's correct. Most of the time in these meeting negotiations, the presidents are quiet. However, this is very unusual in the sense that usually when a conference is in meeting negotiations, you do hear like positive leaks coming out. You get that momentum of positive leaks. Yeah, this is going to be good. We can hit this number. This is going to get done. Just recently we saw that in the Big Ten negotiations. We saw that in the Big 12 meeting negotiations. In the years past, that's what you see. We're not getting that here. We're getting the opposite. Anything that is coming out seems to be negative. Andrew Marchand. Look at this. Pac-12 dilemma. Pac-12 deal is something to watch because while I think it has some suitors at Amazon, ESPN, and Fox Sports, the sense I keep getting is none of them view it as a must-have. Right? That's not positive. And then he also says they're going to be deals to be made for the Pac-12, but will they be strong enough to stave off more realignment, especially with Big 12's agreement with ESPN, allowing for further payments if Power 5 schools are added? The Pac-12 should be able to get close to the nearly $32 million per school that the Big 12 received. But the Pac-12 will have to realize that it is more the comp than the Big 10. See, all that stuff, all that is pretty bleak. And usually you get positive leaks coming right before a deal gets done. Rebecca, I've heard nothing from my sources at Washington if the AD and president have spoken to the Big 12. They're the only two that I know it's happened. Yeah, I have no idea as well. Charles M., San Diego State still gets into the Big 12. Ted, the Pac-12 is starting to resemble the old Big East before it broke apart. Matthew Farmer, TCU has a backloaded schedule, but it's going to be fun. TCU's schedule did leak last night. We'll have to take a look at it. Mid-Florida Academy, Oregon, Washington, head over to the ACC. I don't think so. Mid-Florida Academy, I don't think that is a possibility. I'm all for wild speculation at this point. We're at that point. Out-of-the-box thinking is welcome. But I don't think ACC is part of it. Remember, if Oregon and Washington joins the ACC, they have to sign the same grant of rights that those other ACC schools are under. Look at the ACC bylaws. It's right in there. So I don't think Oregon and Washington have any interest in joining the ACC and be under that particular TV contract, that media contract, all the way until 2036. So I don't think that's an option for Oregon and Washington. Maybe I'm wrong. We shall see. I just don't think it is. Jim Broekhoff, if Arizona State and Arizona bolt, what options do Washington and Oregon have? This is a great question that we've been getting. I suppose one option is to bolt with Arizona State and Arizona. There's no question the Big 12 would take all four if Washington and Oregon are part of that mix. Other than that, I don't think Washington and Oregon have much of the options. I mean, potentially, if you do some out-of-the-box crazy speculation like we did last night, maybe a Washington and Oregon with Utah and Stanford could bundle their content together and sell it to a media company partner and become independent for a couple years and see how the landscape changes for them. But I doubt it. That's a super, super, super long shot. I don't think they have an option of creating some other new conference. I completely don't think of that. I mean, again, the favorite is that the Pac-12 schools remain as is, those 10 schools, and they add on San Diego State and SMU, and they go back to being the Pac-12. That's the favorite. However, a couple weeks ago, that was the heavy chalk, and now it's only the slight chalk, the slight favorite for it to happen. The great unknowns is starting to percolate. There is a vacuum, and something's going to fill that vacuum. Look, you could say that Arizona State voicing their displeasure in the Monday meeting at Arizona State, by the way. It was a home game meeting for Arizona State leadership. But you could maybe say voicing that displeasure was Arizona State way of saying we're going to play our cards. We might have a 2-7 offsuit in our down cards, but we're going to play them. We're going to bluff, whatever. Going to show some leverage, going to elbow back a little bit and say, this is not going good. This is not right. Hasn't been communicated to us honestly. Whatever they said, we don't know. We only know what we've given you in this episode. Rodney Durrett, Texas Tech schedule. Wyoming, September 2nd. Oregon, September 9th. Tarleton, September 16th. West Virginia, September 23rd. Texas Tech does play Houston, September 30th. The first year Houston in the Big 12. Baylor, October 7th. Kansas State, October 14th. BYU, October 21. TCU, November 2nd. Kansas, November 11th. UCF, November 18th. And Texas Tech finishes the season with Texas, November 24th. And that may be the last Texas Tech versus Texas Big 12 football game forever. Very well could be. Tony, what do you think the maximum number of schools the Big Ten would have? 16, 20, 24, no idea. It all depends on how this sport changes. It could potentially change a lot in 2026 and then a whole lot in the 2030s. It's hard to say. I would say in this landscape, in this era, in this way we do the economics of college football, I would say right now the maximum would be 20. They're not going to 20 right now. I'm just saying if the right teams became available and all that stuff. But, bigger the conferences, the harder it is to maintain the conference. Fractures starting to appear. Realignment never sleeps. So we could see things change going back to smaller conferences 15, 20 years from now. So, but right now I would say the maximum is 20, but they're not going to 20. Not right now. Charles M., of course, Washington and Oregon could go to the Big 12. I think the chances of that are still less than 50%, but they're growing week in and week out. They're grown. Grateful Trojan, would the $5 to $8 million difference really be enough to blow up the conference? Well, if you take the $5 to $8 million difference plus what people perceive, I agree with this perception, but the perception that there's going to be a huge gap in exposure between Pac-12 and Big 12, that could be enough to blow up the conference. Because I don't care what anybody says. When that Pac-12 media deal gets signed, and the chances are it's still going to get signed, and we're going to have 10 Pac-12 schools, and then probably they're going to expand with 2 others. Whatever happens, whenever that deal gets signed, it's going to be the role of the 12 schools. It's going to be, okay, now what happens? It's going to be some white knuckle time. Because they're going into uncharted waters. How many eyeballs will they truly get in their top football games, in their top basketball games? Their top basketball games probably will be played on ESPN. Their top football games will probably be played on Amazon. What are the eyeballs? How does that affect recruiting? What do the student athletes think about that? All that stuff. So regardless, they're taking a risk. It may be the only option that they have, or for most of those Pac-12 schools have. But in Oregon or Washington or Utah, potentially Arizona State, maybe there's another option out there. So the $5 to $8 million difference plus the gap in exposure, maybe it is enough. NRGTXN, it's easy to be tight-lipped when nothing is really happening. Mona Vision, Greg sealed it last night when he picked the Pac-12 to survive, cooled the entire conference. Dale Donuts, just as I mentioned last night, what are the chances that the Pac-12 chooses new leadership first before any conference moves are made? I would think it's pretty high. Ooh. You did mention that. Could be. It could be. I'm open to that speculation now. A couple weeks ago, Dave O'Donuts, I would have said, nah, they'll get a deal done. There won't be a change in leadership. Now, Charles M., Monty is funny. Monty is wired in to Arizona and Utah. I don't know who I've just seen like a minute of his clips. Don't know him. Can't confirm or deny his report last night. If it is true, he's got a big story. Our little nugget of information is just a tiny little nugget, but I thought it was important to get it out there because then you can. That's a data point. There's going to be other stuff leaking here, and you can use that in part of trying to figure out what's going on. That's part of the reason why we put it out today. The other part is it came from an impeccable source. Like our very top source in that whole western part of the country. Let's just put it that way. Besides, and we don't know these people, but besides the leak that came out of Los Angeles during the USC thing, that was told to some Big Ten money perch people, and then they told us the information. That's why we broke it on March 31st. So besides maybe those people who leaked it in Los Angeles, this is our most impeccable source that who we talked to directly. So Arizona State showed their displeasure. Look, there's going to be people that say, no, it didn't happen. That's fine. And people might say, yeah, it did happen, but it doesn't mean much. That could probably be true. But I think it's worthwhile for us to put it out there for you all, because that's what we do here at Peek Around the Corner. We do everything here. Everything. We cover everything in college football, even the little nuggets of detail to the big stories, right? So with that, it was worthwhile to get it out to you early here on Tuesday, because we got it at about 11 o'clock, about 2 hours and 40 minutes ago. We got this little nugget of information. We thought it'd be worthwhile for you guys to know. We don't put our information behind paywalls or Patreons or YouTube membership. If you come onto this channel, you're going to get the information. Now, we do ask if you smash that like button if you like our content. That helps with the algorithms. But we put our information out for free. Okay. Sean, how can Washington and Oregon going to make more money in a new conference? What available schools are worth more than the current Pac-12 members? How much less would the new members have to settle for? Well, the thing is, Sean, it's a good question. I mean, let's look at the Big 12, for example. Each Big 12 school is going to get $31.6 million per year in the life of that new media contract. They have a pro rata clause. In other words, pretty much, like, again, if Oregon and Washington join the Big 12, they're going to get $31.6 million. But you know what? An Oregon and a Washington would probably be considered an additive to the conference. So they would get more and everyone else would get more. So when people say, okay, if Washington and Oregon join the Big 12, and let's say the Monty Show's information is absolutely correct, they'd make $25 million and they make $32 million in Big 12 versus $25 million. That's a $7 million difference. It probably is going to be more than that because Washington and Oregon would be an additive to the Big 12 conference. They would add to everybody's slice, a few $1 million. So Washington, Oregon, let's just throw a number out there. Maybe they could make $35, $36, $37 million in the Big 12. And of course, they would, in my perception and most people, they're going to get the better exposure in the Big 12. So again, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, people say Washington, Oregon in the Big 12. I'd say no. Today, January 31st, I'm not going to blame you for speculating it, predicting it. Who knows? There's a vacuum. Someone's going to fill it. Somebody's going to fill it. Great for Trojan. Again, Stanford and Cal are always an afterthought with realignment. What will become of them? I feel like they're captains of a sinking ship. Well, Stanford and California, again, two schools that I would consider, I would be shocked if they would show displeasure inside that Pac-12 in Monday's meeting. There's two more schools that I'd figure they won't say anything. They're hoping for the Pac-12 to remain, stay the same. They're two giants, academic and research. You know that Arizona State do not want to separate themselves from Stanford and California. We're talking billions of dollars. We're talking being tied to Stanford and California, being tied to them in athletic conference is very beneficial to schools like Arizona, Arizona State, Oregon, and Washington. But yeah, I see what you're saying. What would become of them if some schools left to the Big 12? It wouldn't be good. It would not be good at all. Jim Brokoff, nice to see you in the house. The problem for the Pac-12 streaming option is that they're the least watched on TV of the major conferences. So why would Amazon overpay? You bring up a good point, Jim. The eyeballs haven't been there for Pac-12 content. It just hasn't. It's year after year after year of being the lowest rated conference among the Power Five. We've said this before. Pac-12 country doesn't watch Pac-12 football. Not in the way that the Big Ten country does, SEC country, Big 12 country, and some of the ACC country. Now, there's parts of the Pac-12 country that watches football, Washington and Oregon. But in Northern California, the demographics, the consumers haven't been watching college football. California, San Francisco, the Northern California area. People of Boulder, Colorado have not been watching football. Maybe that changes here with Deion Sanders. Sean says, my thinking is Pac-12 money is much lower than the Big 12. Choice becomes stay or see if the Big 12 wants us. Hold on one second here. Just checking a message. Got to check my messages in real time right now. Things are a little sensitive. Things are sensitive. Again, if you just joined us for the first time, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Things are sensitive. And it's also Cloak and Dagger time. We talked about it here on this channel. I cannot underestimate the Cloak and Dagger part of all this. The Big Ten, it was wild. Absolutely wild. When they were talking to USC, they were hoping, they were praying it wouldn't get out. We had the information. We also had the information that the Big Ten knew we had it. 9 different times when we put it out on Twitter that USC called the Big Ten. We put it out March 31st, and then for the next 90 days, when we talked about how USC called the Big Ten alone, we talked on March 31st, on April 2nd, April 4th. All that happened, it turned out to be true. Everything in our story happened to be true because we were getting this information leaking out of Los Angeles. And then when the Big Ten was, I know it's crazy. I get it. People who are new to this channel say, who is this nut job from Minnesota? Well, just go check Flug Empire, check the Los Angeles Times article that was written on us. Big Ten was tracking us. Not only were they tracking everything we were doing, but they were tracking who we were talking to on Twitter. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds just bizarre, but they did not want to be Houston chronicled. The Big Ten did not want to be Houston chronicled. They did not want, when the Houston Chronicle said that Oklahoma and Texas were looking to join the SEC, the Houston Chronicle broke that story before Texas and Oklahoma and the SEC wanted that story to break. And the Big Ten didn't want this story to break until it was up to their timing. And the reasons we were talking about it is because we were being fed information from the money perch of the Big Ten. Because they had no confidence that Kevin Warren was going to act. And they wanted Los Angeles City to be a Big Ten city. There was so much Cloak and Dagger, we haven't even taught. We've kept some of it to ourselves. Some of it we passed on to media. During all this time, we passed it on to media companies. I'm telling you, there's Cloak and Dagger stuff going on right now. Now, we don't have it. We're searching for it, but we don't have it. We do not know. We gave a little nugget of information today from a very impeccable source. Arizona State, surprising to me, maybe I'm the only one surprised, but Arizona State showed their displeasure yesterday. So what does that mean? Arizona State was the only school that showed the displeasure? Was it Arizona State, Arizona? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out tonight. Maybe we'll have to do another live show tomorrow. I do not know. But we're going to keep digging because there's Cloak and dagger. When you have this type of media, when this situation, when a media deal keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and there's this huge vacuum, the great unknown is going to fill it. Something is going to fill it. Someone's going to try to fill it. Someone is going to try to reassure an Oregon, a Washington, an Arizona, Arizona State, a Utah. Someone's going to try to reassure and say, we can give this to you. And it's a prisoner dilemma. You know, a school doesn't know what the other school is doing. USC did not know that UCLA was talking to the Big Ten. UCLA did not know that USC was talking to the Big Ten. They were doing it separately. So, you know, I'm sorry, but Arizona is proud. If Arizona's talking to the Big 12, if they've had some communication, Arizona probably doesn't know what other school is talking to the Big 12. They do not know. So what you do not know becomes a threat to you. So that option of reassurance, that option that again, the bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. What you know you can get becomes way more valuable than what you think you possibly could get in the future. All right, let's get back to your comments. But there's Cloak and Dagger right now. So, okay. Get back to your comments. Okay. Dale Donuts, George Kliakoff tomorrow. All members are very happy in the conference, and we've been waiting for Amazon to buy CBS before a deal can get done. You're killing me. You're killing me. Kenneth Bowman, any news how Colorado's thinking? Are the Four Corners schools still rumored to the Big 12? No idea. I mean, we go back to their athletic director of a few weeks ago. Colorado's athletic director said in the Wilner and Casano podcast that we did a whole episode on it. We talked about it in a live show. Basically, that Colorado, why would they move to a conference that has more members? It would be easier for us to make the playoffs if we stayed in the Pac-12. To me, that sounded like an athletic director. Just speculation on my part. Complete speculation. No intel. It just seems to me, that sounds like an athletic director who had been talking to the president of Colorado, and it's like, we're not interested in going to the Big 12. So for me, that was like, wow. That was a wow moment for me when an athletic director goes on and Wilner and Casano and says, basically, one of the criteria that we are looking at on realignment is we don't want to go to a conference that might have more members and it's harder to get to the playoffs. I'm telling you, most presidents, if not all presidents, are not looking at how hard or easy it is to get to the playoffs in the future in regards to realignment decisions. Texas and Oklahoma definitely didn't think about that. They had other things that were much higher criteria for them in realignment decisions. They decided to go to the conference that would give them more money, more exposure, more opportunities for the student athletes. They went to the SEC. USC and UCLA definitely did not say, wow, what conference gives us a better chance to get to the college football playoffs in the future? Big 10 or Pac-12. That didn't even play in what they were thinking. They went to the conference that they expect will give them more money, more revenue, more opportunities for more revenue, more opportunities for the student athletes, way bigger exposure. So for Colorado's athletic director to come out and say what he said on the Wilner and Casano podcast, It sounded like to me an athletic director who's been told that Colorado is staying where they are and they're not going to be proactive. Now, other people have got Colorado. They're speculating, of course. Yeah, maybe they could go move to the Big 12. I don't know. I'm pretty... maybe that's why other people are speculating, or maybe they have real intel about this Arizona State, Oregon, Washington thing. I don't know if that's real or not. I have no idea. We have no intel on it. No one's told us that. But the Colorado thing, I'm not sure if they're even part of the dominoes anymore. After listening to the athletic director speaking to Wilner Canzano, and this was just a couple weeks ago. That whole interview blew my mind. Now, Rebecca says Pac-12 country barely watches any other conference football, to be honest. Rebecca, I think that probably is true. That probably is true. Mona Vision say Cloak and Dagger so we can do some day drinking. I have said that a lot again on this show. You'll see. When the story is told on this, there'll be stuff that will blow all of our minds. There's Cloak and Dagger stuff going on. People are attempting. You think Brett Yormark is just... Remember, realignment starts with the school calling the conference first. Always, always, always. It's never the conference calling the school first. But once the school makes a call and says, hey, can we talk? Then that Brett Yormark is all over that. And I bet he's been all over it. I do not believe no Pac-12 school has called Brett Yormark. I don't believe that at all. And I'm not going to sit here and wave pom-poms for Brett Yormark and say, but you have to give the guy credit in the fact that when he started talking about Big 12's attempt to start negotiations with the Fox Sports and ESPN, their current media partners, to move that up 16, 18 months to say, we want to start this. We think we can start this. People blew him off. People mocked him on message boards, on Twitter. People mocked Yormark. And then when he got it, when he was given the okay to start those negotiations in the exclusive window with Fox Sports and ESPN, then he started talking about how optimistic he was that the deal was going to get 2 to 3 weeks from the time that he was talking. People blew him off again. And what happened? He got the deal done. He got it done with ESPN and Fox Sports. And then people are saying, well, he should have waited. Now, the same people that said he couldn't move it up and get it done, a deal done, were the same people said, well, he should have waited because the deal is going to be more valuable 12, 18 months from now for the Big 12. Now we're seeing that's not the case. Not with the media money contracting. Not with the media money economics contracting. Ad buy rates are dropping. So no, Brett Yormark did the right thing. So far, everything Brett Yormark rattles on about, he's been able to get done. And now Brett Yormark is going on saying, at some point, I'm paraphrasing it, I'm not getting it perfect, but at some point, we're going to get a fourth time slot window. We're going to get some school from, the fourth time zone. We're going to tell the Big 12 stories all the way from the East Coast, all the way into California. He's been saying that. Now, why is he saying that? To me, there's no doubt that Brett Yormark has had some communications with some Pac-12 schools. This whole thought that no one has talked to Brett Yormark, that no Pac-12 school has reached out, I find that impossible to believe at this point, especially at this point on January 31st. Tony, thank you for the super chat donation. Appreciate you, Mr. Gopher. The Big 12's new contract starts in 2025. If the Big 12 expands to 16 before, then do all 16 schools make $31.6 million? If so, I think it's likely. Again, most of the Big 12's new media deal has a pro rata clause. It sounds like it's the Big 12 media deal that's connected with ESPN is pro rata. The minority part of that media package with Fox Sports doesn't seem to be. However, look, I'm just going to throw it out there. This is just speculation. This is just speculation. If an Arizona State, Oregon, and Washington would join the Big 12, they would all, I think the whole Big 12 conference would make more than $31.6 million. Maybe not a whole lot more, but I think those at 4 additions would elevate the whole media value, the package for the Big 12. I don't think there's much of a doubt to it. If you disagree with me, fine, put it in the comments section. But Oregon and Washington are a value add to the Big 12. So, but thank you for the donation, Tony. I hope that answers your question. Thank you, sir, for your generosity. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you're looking for that extra bit of content, if you're looking for somebody to sing your school's fight song, join the channel. If you want someone to rattle on about my way too early predictions for a conference, subscribe to the channel. If you want someone to make predictions for the college football games in the upcoming season, and then you go the other way and win because I'm Greg the Cooler, join the channel. Okay? Subscribe to our channel. Share the video with your family and friends. Get back to your comments. Rebecca says, Yormark got a deal done, but it looks rushed and nobody has signed it. I do believe that the Big 12 schools have signed it. However, how I understand it, because I've been poking and prodding people for an answer to this question. I'm sorry, hold on one second. Hold on. My apologies. This is the time where I've got to take real time. Okay. What I understand is the Big 12 schools have signed some sort of contract. The current grant of rights does not end until June 30th, 2025. So they're under a current grant of rights with the Big 12, the 8 current schools. If one of those Big 12 schools, this is just, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm just putting it out there so people understand. Again, I want to be careful. This is just me explaining the situation. Let's say, for example, Kansas was given an invite to join the Big Ten, and Kansas said yes. Kansas would have to pay a penalty to the Big 12. I don't know how much that is, but they would not be under the future grant of rights yet. So it would be like a Texas and Oklahoma situation where they could get out in 2025, but they would have to pay. They would actually have to pay a penalty because they signed something in regards to the new media contract. But they wouldn't be under the penalties of the grant of rights, of the new one that's coming up. So it's kind of nuanced. They have signed something, but they haven't signed the grant of rights, the new one, because it doesn't take effect until July 1st, 2025. I've asked a bunch of times. I finally got the answer. So there it is. Okay. Lots of comments. Greg's favorite coaching hire was Fickle to Wisconsin. No! Monovision. Greg is terrible against the spread. Big money generator. In 2023, we're going to flip the script here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to light it up against the spread. You just watch. You just watch. Here we go. When is your next meeting with BTM? I haven't had a meeting with BTM in a very, very long time. We have lots of messages, but I haven't had a meeting in a very, very long time with him. We'll do it again someday, but it's a little bit more difficult now than it was before, and I won't get into the reasons why on that. But I always got communication from him today. So, an impeccable source. Arizona State showed their displeasure yesterday in the meeting. Tony says, Steven Snook, I agree he is lurking. Who is lurking? Tony, let me know who is lurking. Don't know who is lurking. Everyone is lurking. Grateful Trojan, Colorado left the Big 12 to be tied academically to the PAC. Losing USC, UCLA, and possibly Washington could drastically hurt their reason for being in the conference. That's a great point. The growing number of students that the University of Colorado gets is from the state of California. That is not, that doesn't surprise anybody. So losing UCLA and USC might hurt Colorado more than anybody else. But after listening to the athletic director talk to Wilner Casano, wow. I don't think Colorado has the plans. I don't think they're looking at any options. I think they're one of those schools that are not looking at alternatives. As crazy as it sounds, because everybody's speculating and theorizing that Colorado would be one of course, those four corner schools that could have the option of moving the Big 12. I don't know. Unless that athletic director, George Richards, Colorado, unless he was just saying that to fool people, that interview was like, wow, Colorado doesn't have any plans. They're going to stick with it in the Pac-12. Greg is under constant surveillance by Big Ten. I don't think I was, but not anymore. As crazy as that sounds, we were. And we have proof of it in so much of it. And we grabbed that proof in real time and we sent it to media companies. And it's been confirmed that, yes, Big Ten they didn't want to be Houston Chronicle. It's a good thing that we weren't the Houston Chronicle here at Peek Around the Corner. Your mark? Is your mark? Nah, your mark doesn't. Nah, I don't think so. In a couple months, there may be somebody in the East Coast that might be lurking. But we'll get to that story later. Okay. Sam J, nice to see you in the house. Appreciate it. Who do you blame for the Pac-12 falling? If presidents of Pac-12 hire the commissioner, isn't it their fault? Oh, man. Well, that's a tough question. Some of this, Sam, is just the demographics, the changing demographics of the Pacific Coast. A lot of those states are more pro-sport friendly. You can say that about the state I live in, Minnesota. Larry Scott, the way they set up the Pac-12 network, it's easy to say it now, but back then the Pac-12 should have done what the Big Ten did. Try to get a media company to help them grease the skids, to have the media company be the majority owner to help distribution of the Pac-12 network. That Pac-12 network, no one saw it. No one saw it. Then how they structured it was terrible. But some of it is just out of their control. What has been in their control has been, they haven't done really. The Pac-12 should have accepted Oklahoma years ago in expansion. Even if Texas wasn't coming, Pac-12 should have taken Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or Texas Tech. They should have lowered their so-called standards. They should have grabbed some of those schools in the Central Time Zone. So they should increase their bandwidth of media windows, of just everything. Diversify their demographics, for goodness sake. Get out of that Pac-12 region. They've made many, many mistakes, but some of it was out of their control. Some of it was in their control. Rebecca, Grubb turned down Alabama because guys came back that could go to the NFL. Said he felt they were loyal and he should be too. Go Huskies. The offensive coordinator, Grubb, declined. Alabama offered him the job and he said no, he's going back to Washington again. I put out a tweet. I got hammered by some Oregon fans. Washington remains undefeated here in the offseason, 2023 offseason. The Huskies are running it back with everybody. They're great wide receivers, McMillan, Odunze, great quarterback, Michael Penix. The offensive coordinator's coming back. They got their two defensive ends coming back. They got everybody coming back. The Huskies, man, Pac-12 champions. Pac-12 champions. That's our prediction here at Peek Around the Corner. And our way too early predictions. Grateful Trojan. This is a comment that I made last night. With all the negative press, San Diego State would be wise to jump into the Big 12 and spurn the PAC. While San Diego State is in the catbird seat, right? They're in this perfect storm where they can play off one conference to another. Okay, hold on just 1 second. I apologize. Hold on 1 second. No, I have to look at it again. But just a little bit more information on the Arizona State thing. Again, confirmed. Arizona State showed their displeasure in the Pac-12 meeting. I'm going to have to flush this piece out before we talk about it. But yes, Arizona State did show their displeasure directly at the commissioner and at a member of the executive committee. Arizona State not happy. I'm sorry, what was the question again? Okay, if San Diego State is sitting there, right, and if it looks like things are going to collapse in the Pac-12, they can't get the deal done, and the Big 12 is circling, and there may be some Pac-12 schools that are willing to jump. San Diego State, maybe they should take the Big 12 deal if there's an official invite to them, and not wait on the Pac-12. There might come a time when that happens. Maybe. Now, nothing against San Diego State, but the Big 12 definitely, their targets are a couple of Big 12 schools. A couple of Pac-12 schools, obviously. But I agree, Grateful Trojan. There might be that time, that little window of time where San Diego State, they might want to jump and not wait on the Pac-12. Gonzaga, on the other hand, they can wait. Gonzaga should wait until they see what type of Pac-12 media deal and then make the decision, because Gonzaga wants to get into a Power 6 conference, a basketball conference. They want that exposure. They want big brand versus big brand that's going to help their NIL situation in Gonzaga and all that stuff. Movie Time Blues. Why would Big 12 go to the G5 route again when they have a chance to poach the Pac-12? Things have changed. Great comment. Great comment. I mean, and they won't. I mean, obviously the top targets are going to be those Pac-12 schools, and it has been. The pro rata clause is in there for a reason. Big 12 media partners, they would accept a couple of those Big 12 schools, maybe even Pac-12 schools, maybe even 4 of them, 2 to 4 of them, who knows? But no question about it. I mean, but we're talking about the end game here. When it gets to that point where maybe one Pac-12 school is willing to jump, and your Mark is talking with San Diego State, because we know they've talked with each other. J.D. Wicker basically admitted it in public. He's playing one off the other. Maybe then San Diego State says, okay, we'll take the Big 12 invite. We'll go along with an Arizona, for example. That's a possibility. Rebecca, if anyone has reached out to the Big 12 from the Pac-12, the question should be, why haven't they been admitted? Also, Washington and Washington State are adamant about no Gonzaga in the Pac. Yeah, I mean, that's another reason why we believe that Big 12 is the chalk to get Gonzaga into the Big 12 conference. We don't think Gonzaga is going to make any type. I mean, they're going to wait for the Pac-12 media deal to see. But, you know, eventually that decision is going to come sooner rather than later. We thought it was going to be by the end of January. But because of the Pac-12 media deal hasn't been done yet, I think Gonzaga is waiting. But yeah, does Washington and Washington State truly want Gonzaga in the Pac-12 basketball conference? Probably not. Probably not. Just one of the many reasons why we think Big 12 is the chalk to get Gonzaga. Sam J. After the big fiasco with Herm Edwards, how does Arizona State get the big pants at the table with the Pac-12? Is there a deal to leave to Big 12? Are they holding it over the Pac-12's heads to get leverage? We don't know, and that's why we think that this nugget was worth sharing with you all. Something went down yesterday. Arizona State showed their displeasure, and it surprised me. But it happened. So why? Was it just frustration coming out? Or do they have some leverage? Have they talked to the Big 12? We do not know. We wish we had that. We do not have it. We don't have anything else that's worth sharing anyways. But I wanted to get that out to you because maybe another piece comes from somewhere else. You can start connecting the dots. Maybe we get more intel on this. But there is something going on there with Arizona State. How do they get the big boy pants? How does that president who's always been pro Pac-12, how does that athletic director who's been there for a long time, with everything that's going on in Arizona State, some of it not very smooth, although I think they did a great job in hiring Kenny Dillingham as the new head football coach. How do they get the chutzpah to go out there and show displeasure to the Pac-12 commissioner and some member of the executive committee, according to our intel? I don't know, but there's a story there. We just don't know what it is yet. So hang with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Keep your eyes and ears open. But we think there's a story there. Rebecca says, per reports, Kevin Warren is on the West Coast meeting with USC, UCLA for integration meetings. The onboarding process is very difficult. If you go back and listen to former commissioners' statements, interviews, books they have written, the most challenging part of the job is to onboard new institutions into their athletic conference. It is a huge task. Huge task. So, and the Big Ten has lots of decisions to make on their own. They have to make scheduling decisions for 2024, permanent rival decisions. They're probably going to no divisions. They're probably going to stick with 9 conference football games, but that 10-game conference schedule is lurking out there. It's a possibility a couple years down the road. So they have decisions to make as well. I'm going to have to cut it short. Got some stuff I got to do. This is a shorter live show. We've only been on for an hour and 20 minutes. We do have to cut it short. But thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel to get notified, because I think we're going to be doing another live show here pretty soon. Okay? Pretty soon. I think it can be beneficial and worthwhile. All right, things are going on. Dagger. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Before you leave, smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. So stick with us. Stick very close. Subscribe to our channel. Stay close, because I think a live show is coming up. Could be any moment, any time. Okay? Appreciate you all. Until next time. From all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much. Take care.